Anya Rao, a forest rescue volunteer, drives into the reserve as a thunderhead cracks the night in two. The rain is the heavy, curtain kind dense enough to make the road vanish a few meters ahead. She is answering a distress ping from a lost hiker's GPS beacon. Somewhere beyond the firebreak, where the sal trees cluster too close and the soil turns to black glass underfoot, she kills the headlights to listen. Through the hiss, a child cries out. Then again, closer. She flicks her torch into the trees. The beam is a flat wall of silver needles. No shapes, no movement. Just the sound, thin, breathy, soaked with shiver. "Stay where you are," Anya calls. "I'm coming." Her radio crackles back only with rain. The first footprints appear on the verge. Small, bare, pressed deep, already pooling with water. She follows them, skirting the glistening buttresses of roots, counting steps so she can find her way back. The crying wavers left, then right, then behind her, like it's trying on positions. Anya stops and cups her hands. "Clap if you hear me," she yells. A clap comes back, but it's wrong, thin as wet bark slapped against bark. A branch snaps behind her head. She swings the torch and catches what she thinks is a face. A pale oval between curtains of hair. The beam flares on raindrops, and the face is gone. In the torch's afterimage, she sees a smear on a trunk, a perfect handprint, water dark, dripping upward. She backs toward the firebreak and finds only undergrowth. Her counted steps don't get her anywhere. The crying turns into a perfect imitation of her own voice calling her name. That's when she remembers. This patch of forest is known for the mimic thrushes, birds that can copy tones and timbres. But no bird opens your truck door. Because when she stumbles back to the track at last, her pickup stands open. The inside is soaked, the windshield fogged from breath. In the condensation on the passenger glass, someone has traced, with a wet finger, a simple drawing. 3 nested ovals, like ripples. Anya slides behind the wheel, locks the doors, and starts the engine. The wipers lurch and smear the ripples into nothing. As she pulls away, the radio clicks alive and speaks in her voice. "Don't leave me." The GPS ping begins moving on her map, keeping pace with her truck. She accelerates. It accelerates. The sound in the canopy keeps time with her tires. At the gate, a ranger flags her down. He leans into the rain and shouts over it. "Bad night for a search, huh?" She nods. He squints past her at the passenger seat and steps back like something just dripped on his boot. "You pick someone up?" Anya looks. The seat is soaked. The headrest bears 5 long wet streaks like resting fingers. Nobody reports a missing child. The beacon is later found nailed to a tree 9 meters up. That night, the rain returns, and Anya lies awake as the gutters around her house begin to speak, practicing her name until it sounds exactly like the way she says it.
Story 2. Cabin of the Drip.
Armin and Mira reach the inherited cabin just as the forest closes up with weather. Rain hammers like a crowd on the roof. The place is a one-room remnant of their grandfather's logging, years' dark beams, a stone hearth, a trapped, tannic smell of old wood soaked and dried 1,000 times. On the table lies a tin pail and a note in their grandfather's hand. When it rains, catch what comes inside, not what comes down. They laugh at it, chalking it up to old man eccentricity. Mira sets the pail by the door anyway. Drip, drip. Not from the ceiling yet. From the far corner where the walls meet. The log ends are blackened there, as if burned. The corner begins to bleed water, a slow tear that smears down the seam. Armin touches it and jerks his hand back. The water is cold as iron and smells like moss and rust. Mira finds a second pail. The drip becomes a run, then a sheet. The corner darkens as if a storm is behind the wall itself. The rain outside dims, but the cabin rain grows. It pools around their boots, turns the floor slick. It's a leak from the roof, Armand says, though it isn't. The roof, in fact, is dry as bone from the rafters inward. The wet is coming from the joints, the dovetails, the places where the cabin is most itself. They search by phone light. Behind the hearth, a trapdoor. Below, not a cellar, just packed earth veined with roots. Beneath the earth, the glint of pooled water. In it, something pale. Mira recoils. The pale thing rises with the water wooden pegs, dozens of them, entombed as if plugging holes in a dam. Each peg is carved with grooves that look like fingerprints. The note makes sense all at once. Catch inside, not down. Their grandfather had built this cabin to hold something back during storms. Armand lifts a peg to see what it holds, and the cabin exhales. The wall seems open, and black water pours through with force enough to rock the house. In that water are shapes, as if the rain were remembering, faces pressing against it, mouths open, hair thrashing, eyes closed against silt. Mira screams, but her voice is muffled, underwater in her own head. Armand slams the peg back, and the faces smear away. But one stays, printed in water against the wall, an old man's face that looks like their grandfather. His lips move. They can't hear him. Mira leans close and feels cold breath on her ear from the shape in the wall. "Don't empty us," he says, and she tastes rust. The storm peaks. The cabin sways as if riding a tide. The pegs drum under the floor like 1,000 fingers. Armand and Mira hold the pegs with their bare hands to keep them from lifting. The water tries to lift them too. When dawn comes, the pressure relents. The cabin dries in seconds, as if wicking everything back inside. The pails are full, but what's in them is not water. It is a thick amber, heavy with silt, and in it are curled slivers of wood and a single, perfect fingernail. They leave the pails on the table. On the drive out, the creek is running high and brown. At the bend where the logging road meets the county blacktop, a sign sticks up slick with rain. Memorial, 17 drowned in the flood of '62. Mira counts the pegs in her mind. The number is the same. That night, back in town, rain thrums the apartment windows. Mira gets up to place a bowl under a familiar sound. The ceiling is dry. The drip is inside the wall. Kabir drives the forest highway at 2 a.m., his rideshare app idle, rain skimming across the asphalt with a sound like frying. This stretch is notorious for wrecks when wet, a ribbon of black between miles of pine. The mile markers flash past. 10, 11, 12. He eases up for a curve, and his headlights catch a figure standing where the shoulder collapses into ditch hands, clasped, hair plastered to her face, wearing a reflective triangle vest like a road worker. He pulls over. The woman doesn't look at him. She looks at the mile marker. 13. "You okay?" he asks. She climbs in without a word, water dripping off her onto the rubber mats, eyes fixed forward. "Where to?" He tries again. She lifts a shaking hand and points ahead. As he merges, the hazard triangles appear in his beam. 3 of them, in a pattern in the road, not a line. 2 tight at the bottom, 1 at the top. He swerves around them and glances at the woman. She whispers, "Don't break the shape." He laughs uncertainly and pushes on, eyes trying to pierce the spray. They pass another set of triangles ahead of a flooded dip. The triangles are wrong again, too close, too purposeful. "Road workers would never do that," he says, mostly to himself. The woman's hands are blue around the knuckles. "Do you see the truck?" she whispers. He does not. He does see. In the rear view, the mile marker. It says 13 again. The loop is subtle at first. Landmarks rhyme rather than repeat. A split stump like a twisted hand. A reflector burned out exactly at the apex of the S-curve. The rain thickens until the wipers are metronomes. He checks the time and realizes 10 minutes have stretched into 40. The woman wets her lips. "Don't stop for anyone but me," she says. "Even if they look like me." Lights bloom ahead, hazards low and steady in the wash. A jackknife truck blocks half the lane, naked steel shimmering with rain. A man waves them down, soaked, desperate. Kabir slows by reflex. The woman beside him turns her face toward the windshield for the first time. Her eyes are filmed with water, and inside each pupil is a triangle. "Don't break the shape," she says, "or you'll let it cross." Kabir threads the car through the narrow space. The triangles leave. He feels the pressure of something big and hungry on his right, just outside the glass. The man pounding on his hood moves wrong too jerkily, too light on the road for someone in a storm. Kabir accelerates. The man's face blurs into the rain. They pass, and the loop breaks. The mile marker slams to 14. Kabir exhales so hard he feels lightheaded. He glances at the passenger seat. It is empty. The mats are dry. No imprint on the fabric. At 15, he pulls into a lit truck stop, hands shaking, tongue stuck to the roof of his mouth. The night clerk looks up when he enters and nods toward a bulletin board layered with flyers. "Another storm night," the clerk says. "Keep your triangles right." Kabir scans the board. Among the lost in memorials is a laminated sheet. At mile 13, set triangles in this formation to keep the lane clear. The diagram is the same as the road. 2 close at the bottom, 1 at the top. In the corner, a photo of a young woman in a triangle vest, killed in a pileup 2 years prior, name washed unreadable by Sunday. When Kabir returns to his car, the hazard kit in his trunk is open. The 3 triangles are wet, arranged exactly, nested to form a smaller triangle. He drives home with them on the seat beside him. Every time rain hisses across the windshield, he hears a woman exhale from the back seat and feels the car thread between things bigger than it should.